Hello class 10 students, so we are back with a new chapter, that is Forest and Wildlife in India. Class 10 student, this is the second chapter of your geography book and I mean that when I say that this is one of the shortest and the easiest chapter in your class 10 journey. Yes, and this time I am 100% sure because you always complain that ma'am, you always tell this chapter is easy, but it is not. But here this chapter is actually very easy. Some of the portion is omitted and other rest we are going to mug it up today by this video. So my dear students, sit on your study tables, take your pen, take your pencil and NCERT for sure, because NCERT is a holy book that we will take as reference while learning this chapter. So forest and wildlife in India, right? We share this planet with millions of species of plants and animals around us, right? Particularly when we talk about this, see, forest and wildlife. Basically, Earth was original inhabitants, like the original inhabitants of this earth were forest and wildlife particularly. Then we evolved as humans, and when we evolved as human, as we had brain, what we did, we destructed this forest and wildlife in India, not only in India but for the world, right? So today we have to learn in detail about them particularly. So we will start the chapter with a statement, okay? And the statement was given by Gautam Buddha. As you guys are aware about who Gautam Buddha is, right? So according to the teachings of Gautam Buddha, there is a statement here that the tree is a peculiar organism of unlimited kindness and benevolence and makes no demand for a sustenance, and extend generously the product of its life activity. It affords protection to all living beings, offering shade even to examine who destroy it. Exactly, a very, very good statement which actually tells us that either it is plants or either it is animal. They have a role. They have an important role in the life of humans. If we talk about animals, considering the food chain as the basis, and if we talk about plants, forest providing oxygen, providing food to us. But the problem here is that we as human, because of our greedy nature, without being generous towards plants and animals, started hunting them, started cutting them, and what happened? Did they stop providing shade to us? No, they are even providing shade to the examine who are destroying it. So actually, this chapter is about this forest and wildlife. This forest and wildlife which makes biodiversity. You study a subject that is biology. What is that? What do you study in biology? Anything which has life, like plants and animal. So similarly, biodiversity. See, biodiversity, you means variety, a lot of variety of products. Right? Here we are talking about variety of products in where? In biology, in bio, yani ki anything that has life. So pay attention to that. When, like, our earth is immensely rich in the wildlife and cultivated species, diverse in its form and functions, but closely interacted in a system through multiple network of interdependence. By biodiversity, we mean that in our surroundings, pay attention to it, in our surroundings, we have millions of species of plants and animals, and they create a network, like they are interdependent on each other. And this system is known as what, my dear students? Biodiversity. So this is something we are studying from class 6. So what is important about the chapter? We will move directly towards it. Right? India is one of the world's richest country in terms of its vast array of biological diversity. See, we have a good landscape, right? We have a large area. So considering that, and considering that India is a tropical as well as subtropical country, we are very rich in what? In biodiversity, particularly about plants and animal species. Like still, but what is happening now? We have not realized the importance of these resources in our day life, as we have not done this diverse flora and fauna. If you are aware about flora and fauna, right now in the comment section, because this is not something I need to explain to class 10 students what is fauna and what is flora. So my dear students, we have taken them from granted, right? We have taken them from granted, and after huge stress by a certain environmentalist, or I can call NGOs, or by the world leaders, or by the population itself, we finally try to make initiatives to control their degradation. Like if I particularly talk about India's rich flora and fauna, you know that there is an estimate that 10% of India's recorded wild flora, pay attention that 10%, how much percentage? Let's write it. 10% of India's wild flora as well as 20% of mammal. Do you know what is mammal? 20% of mammal. Both lies into the category of threatened species. Threatened, you know, those have khatra. They are threatened by what? They are threatened of being extinct in future. Extinct means that these varieties, if one goes now, one ends, will never come back. So here in India, 10% of India's flora, 20% of India's mammal lies in the what? In the threatened list, and many of them are become endangered. That means are in the danger of being extinct, and even some of them are extinct. Right? Even some of them are extinct. Like if we talk about pink-headed duck, right? They're in the critical situation. Like if we talk about India's cheetah, however, we are trying to make cheetah back into the market, but still, mountain quail, forest spotted owlets, and so much plants also that lies into the category which they are endangered. That means if they go, the species will never last on the planet Earth. Getting my point? And this is what we have done to our environment, and this is what we have done to our nature. That is actually the chapter about. But chapter is not going to talk only negative things. Rather, we have to talk about initiatives and some of the positive things too. Okay? When you will start the chapter, na beta, the 2 pages initially are something which is not going to come in your exam. Like they have classified. If you remember, there was a list known as IUCN. Okay, International Union for the Conservation of Nature, right? It is International Union for the Conservation of Nature, right? This IUCN presents a list that is known as Red List. Okay, what is this list made for? Are they categorizing the students that this student is a topper, this is a backbencher, this is little mischievous, this is energetic? No. Basically, red list, okay? Red list classify the species. Which species, beta? Like, there is a species, normal species of plants and animals. Pay attention to this. Whose quantity is enough in number, okay, that they are like healthily living in the society, okay. Then we have endangered species. Endangered species means the species that are on the verge of extinction. If we don't protect them, they will get extinct one day. Extinct, that means end one day. Getting my point? Then we have a species that is vulnerable species. Vulnerable species are the species whose population has a drastic decline altogether. Right? Has a drastic decline altogether. Those species are considered as vulnerable. Then we have a lot like extinct species, rare species which are found only in particular area like Andaman and Nicobar tail, etc. Okay, getting my point? So this IUCN, International Union of Conservation of Nature, is working hard to categorize these species, figure out what work can be done to improve their condition. This is the introduction of the chapter. This is what? The introduction of the chapter. The very first and the important topic of this chapter that is going to secure you how many marks? 5 marks for sure. Okay, every time you will pick up the previous year question papers, or every time this year you will sit in the examination, you will see this question, and the question is, what are the steps taken by the government? Here by the government, I am talking about Indian government, okay, not about the world. This chapter is not about the world. So, what are the steps taken by the government to conserve forest and wildlife in India? Now we got to know that by these species are rare, these species are going to be like extinct in the endangered or vulnerable category. Now what are you doing, bhai? So, let's first go to history a little. So if we talk about Indian history, there was a time, right? There was a time when hunting and poaching was considered as an activity of proud. Yes, I'm very sadly speaking this, but actually this was the point, right? Where lot of leaders hold their mustache up while killing a cheetah or a tiger because they considered them as an attitude of pride at that time, right? It was an attitude of pride. If you go to the palaces, you will find the deer horns, etc. How come? Because it was considered as a luxury activity at that time. Britishers came, they also followed initially. They were impressed by those activities of Rajas and Maharajas and considered themselves as Rajas and Maharajas. So basically, during the time of Mughals, I can call, during the time of Rajput period somewhere, during the time of Britishers, we have done a lot of hunting, poaching, a lot of them, right? However, Britishers were not in favor of cutting trees a lot because let me tell you first why. They cut the tree for their profit. Why? Because if you remember that during the time railway started, okay, that sleepers, and between the sleepers wooden blocks are attached because of heat, the iron gets like contracted and something like this, right? If you studied in science. So because of that, wooden planks were attached in that. So wooden planks made up of tree. So for centuries we have been doing this hunting, poaching and cutting the trees. Now what happened? We got independent in 1947. When we got independent in 1947, beta, the first task in front of government was to look into poverty, unemployment, etc., etc. So the initial sight of government was not on the conservation, but however, the time of 1960s and 1970s. However, during the time of 1960s and 1970s, there were a lot of conservationist or naturalist people who were actually working to protect these species. They raised a voice, why we should have a national agenda to protect them. Okay, so they raised a voice that make a nationwide wildlife protection program. Make a what? Nationwide wildlife protection program. Okay, now this is it. Citing this, the government initiated, and finally in 1972, India got the first Wildlife Protection Act, that is Indian Wildlife Protection Act. Here I am talking about wildlife. Wildlife, that means wild animals also and wild plants also. Okay. So, the Indian Wildlife Protection Act was implemented in 1972 with various provisions for protecting habitats. Provisions for protecting habitats. Habitats are the places where these animals live. Habitats are the places where these plants grow. So, this was the first step taken. Get it? So, question is steps taken. This is the step taken. Subsequently, to provide it more implementation, what happened? The central government and many state government established national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. So, if you guys are aware about, and some of you might have visited also the natural parks and the wildlife sanctuaries, actually, they are the original inhabitants of the animals which are cited for protection, which are considered somewhere as reserved forest, protected forest, core zone, where no human involvement is actually allowed so that they can't hunt and poach the animals. Okay. So, citing this, what has been done? Various central and many state government established national parks and wildlife sanctuary. Quick question to all of you watching me right now. Tell me the first national park made in India, and it is actually the first wildlife sanctuary also. Quick. I'll give you an hint. Do you want that? So it is in Uttarakhand. Okay, quick, fast. So subsequently, central and many state government made this national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. Great. Now what happened? They figure out that by the khatra or the threat is on some of the species, like tigers are going down. They are becoming vulnerable day by day. right? Same is with cheetah also, same with somewhere elephants also. Kashmir stag, hangul, it is popularly known as found in Kashmir region. So what to do that? This is actually not enough. For that, beta, they have announced several projects, right? Projects particularly for that species, like Project Tiger, Project One-Horned Rhinoceros, this is found in Northeast region. Okay, Project Kashmir stag or hangul. So this is another step taken by the government, right? Wildlife Act of 1980 and 1986. So this is basically amendment in the act. More into the act, okay? In 1980 and 1986, several hundred butterflies, see, more species are added in the list. Okay, more species are added in the list. How? Butterflies, moth, beetles and dragonfly have been added to the list of protected species. Even in 1991, for the first time, plants were also added to the list. So this is the steps taken by the government to conserve forest and wildlife in India. How many marks you just secured? 5 marks. I know that you have not marked it up right now and you will not be able to write the answer as it is. Pause the video. Learn these points right now. The pen and paper I asked you to take in the starting and learn it and write it there right now. Okay, this is how we are going to study. We are not going to watch this video as a Netflix series and later forget everything. Get it? Chalo. So steps taken by the government to conserve forest and wildlife. The first topic, very important, is done. So here are details of some of the projects, and one is Project Tiger. Okay, Project Tiger was basically, see, 1972 was Indian Wildlife Protection Act. I just told you. After that, here only the agenda was made that we are going to launch Project Tiger. But if we talk about official declaration or if we talk about official implementation, it was done in 1973. Sometimes they confuse you by giving 1973 in option. If 72 is not there, then mark it. Okay, the authority realized that the tiger population had dwindled to 1827 from an estimated 55,000 C. It became a vulnerable species whose population dropped out suddenly. So from 55,000, by tragic, 1827 only tiger left in the country. Don't you think that this is critical? Yes, it was. So the major threat to tiger population are numerous, such as poaching for trade. Yes, this was done. Shrinking habitats, depletion of prey-based species, growing human population, etc. So these were the reasons for their dwindling population. The trade of the tiger skins and the use of their bones in traditional medicines, especially in the Asian countries, left the tiger population on the verge of extinction. That means it came into the category of endangered species, and hence it was the what we can say responsibility of government to work on it. Now the question is, did they work on it? Yes. Do you know right now Madhya Pradesh is the state with the highest number of tiger population in India. Karnataka is also having good number of tiger population in India. Okay, so this is about Project Tiger. Okay, chalo. See, lot of questions don't come from this Project Tiger particularly, but we should know actually the base as well as the date too. That was necessary. Now coming towards the types and distribution of forest and wildlife in India. See, after this, the direct and the important topic from this chapter lies the types and distribution of forest and wildlife in India. See, even if we want to conserve the forest and wildlife, large forest and wildlife in India, it is quite difficult to manage it, to control it, to administer it. Do you agree with this? Yes. Yes, ma'am, it's quite difficult. See, first thing is now that region is actually not that accessible. How easily we can access the plateaus, the plain areas, sometimes at a limit to the mountains. However, accessing to the forest is quite difficult. So, in India, much of the control for the forest and wildlife resource, okay, goes with forest and wildlife resource. The much control of it goes with the Forest Department of India. Okay, beta, there is a separate department made. Even there is like exams for it. IFS officer, not that foreign one. Here, Indian Forest Department officer, administrative service. He is appointed by exam conducted by UPSC. So, we have a separate Forest Department of India to take care of what? To take care of the administration, right? To administration, control and protection of what? Of this forest and wildlife in India. So, the department is being made. This department classified the forest under these three categories. Again, very important. Classified the forest into three categories. Reserve forest, beta, protected forest and unclassed forest. Now, ma'am, tell us the difference between them. Yes, I'm ready to tell that. So, beta, more than half of the, right? More than half of the total forest in India, half of the total forest in India is declared as reserved forest. Is declared as what? Reserved forest. Again, I'm repeating that to you. Most of the more than 50% of the forest is declared as reserve forest. Now, what is reserve forest? See, if this is an forested area, this is an area. So, and if we declare this as reserved forest, basically, this reserved forest can be considered as the core of the forest where strict regulations are implied. Okay, where strict regulations are implied regarding the human activities. Okay, if we see that, pay attention, if we see that, beta, first of all, in the forest of India lives the tribal people. Okay, and these tribal people considered this as their original entity or their own entity, indigenous. They said that we are the indigenous inhabitants, but being like an Indian population or anyone who comes from outside cannot use cannot use the forest to product by its own. Without, like, there are some of the trees which can go, there are some of the trees which can be cut for commercial uses, animals can be hunted for commercial uses, etc, etc, and that's the basic reason that they get what? They get endangered or extinct. So to protect them, they have made a reserved forest area. Like, we go to any program and there are reserved seats there na, so you're not allowed to sit here. Similarly, you're not allowed to do any activity here. Then comes the protected forest. I'm just giving an example. Consider this as protected forest. Okay. In this protected forest, because this tribal community lives here and belongs to here. So, beta, some of their lifestyle totally depends upon forest and the forest products. They sell them in the market and earn money. So, some of the human activity, so this might be an area where not the species which are going to be endangered or something like that is present, or even restricted activities are allowed. Not all the activities are allowed. Okay? So some of the human activities are allowed. So the more strict region is reserved region. And how much of the India's forest is reserved? 50% and more. Okay? And when we talk about protected forest, almost 1/3 of the forest is considered as what? Protected forest. Get it? Now comes the unclassed, not protected, not reserved, unclassed. Other than reserved and protected, that is open for use to everyone. They are the forest and wastelands that either belongs to both government or private individuals. Get it, my dear students? So this is the difference between reserved, protected, unclassed forest. Ma'am, does the question comes? Yes, it can come. So question can come like, what are the types and distribution of forest and wildlife done by the Forest Department of India? You need to just give a small explanation of each of them. One more detail is there in the chapter which you have to go through. overthrow nahi. Okay. See, Madhya Pradesh has the largest area under permanent forest, constituting 75% of its total forest area. Dekho, one thing I just need to tell you over here, according to the according to the forest department, okay? According to the forest department, 33%, okay, 33% of the total land area, like if we have an total area of India, among it 33%, right, shall be forest. Now the question is, do we have it? No. We have somewhere, I'm not giving the exact data to you, somewhere around 24%, 24.16 according to the new census, but NCERT is yet not updated. They are showing some around 23%. Okay, so actually it is 24%. We are taking a round off. Still we are lacking 9% to get this national, what we can say, national decided ratio. So, but what I want to tell you that in this 24%, the state with the highest forest cover is Madhya Pradesh. Okay, Madhya Pradesh is the state with the highest forest cover, first thing. And similarly, the Madhya Pradesh is the state with the largest permanent forest. Largest permanent forest. Get it? Chalo. Jammu and Kashmir, Andhra Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Maharashtra have large percentage of reserve forest. Question can come? Yes. Ma'am, do need to remember these states? Yes. Ma'am, how to do it easily? Because remembering states is not easy task. Take a map. Right, in that map, when you write that this is the area of reserve forest, this is the area where protected forests are there, this is the area where major unclassed forests are there, visualize things, it will retain in your mind. Okay, so Jammu, Kashmir, Andhra Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Maharashtra has large percentage of reserved forest. Now next is Bihar, Haryana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh and Rajasthan have a bulk of protected forest. All the northeastern states and part of Gujarat have high percentage, northeastern states as well as western, like Gujarat being the western and then northeastern states, both have high percentage of what? Unclassed forest. Majorly they are managed by local communities. They are not classified by any of the government authority or the forest department. Unclassed and managing by themselves. Understood the word unclassed now? Great. Now, Jim Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand, answer to your question. So, Jim Corbett National Park, Bacha, is the first national park in India. It is the first wildlife sanctuary in India. It is the first tiger reserve in India. Interesting it is, right? So, there are a lot of national parks mentioned here. Jim Corbett in Uttarakhand. Sundarbans for obvious, by where are Sundari trees, that is in West Bengal. Bandhavgarh, this is in Madhya Pradesh. Sariska is in Rajasthan. Manas is in Assam. Periyar is in Kerala. And there are various tiger reserves in India. Okay, so this is something you studied in class 9th also. I would suggest you to go through the list of national parks and wildlife sanctuaries one, so that it can add on to your knowledge, okay, which can be used later. So this is about what? Classification of forest. Now comes the favorite question of CBSE. Yes, it is the favorite question for sure. And the question is, what is the role of community and conservation? Beta, see, being like living in a country, India, one thing I am very proud of is our history. Right? How? Like if we go back to the history and find certain religious books like Veda, Upanishad, certain Smritis, or the way our culture has been developed, it was really great. How? Let me tell you that also. See, what we consider religion as today, what we consider our traditions as today is actually not true, is actually not something where they arrived from, is actually not something where they originated from. We have interpreted it very wrongly. If we go back and see every activity of Indians now, it somewhere has a very deep scientific reason behind it. Very deep and true scientific reason behind it. Like, for an example, we consider our animals as gods. We pray to them. So why? Because we pray to them, we have an emotional attachment with them along with the religious one. We do not allow them to kill them, right? This is one of the things. We even pray our plants, right? Tulsi plant, okay? Then banyan tree and a lot of them. Why do we pray them? Do they actually have God inside them? Beta, our leaders, or what we can call our ancestors, knew that if we want to protect them, we need to add a religious angle to it. Right? And this is how humans will understand its importance. They understood it million years back. Like if we talk about Indus Valley civilization, there are instances that below a tree rice has been found, so that it is a part of our puja right now. If we go back and see about Vedas, like early Vedic age is the perfect age which can tell us about our past. Right? We had no temples there at that time. Right? We used to pray to these natural entities which were protecting us from like everything and which was giving us life. So yes, still that feeling lies in the communities that are living very close to plants and animals. Like particularly when I talk about tribals, they are the indigenous inhabitants and they actually have that emotional angle to plants and animals, and that's the reason India is a country that have conserved it very nicely. Not all of this, like what we have done with rivers, is actually very bad. So what I am telling is, if we took that religious angle in a correct way, then only we are correct. How we took it into the rivers, it's really bad. Throwing that puja ka saman into the river is not something our past teaches us. Okay, chalo. Let's come back to community and conservation. It comes for 5 marks again, beta. It comes for 5 marks. We have 5 points to write in it. What they are, let's understand. So the first one is Sariska Tiger Reserve. Now, this Sariska Tiger Reserve is in Rajasthan. Where it is? Rajasthan. Okay, Sariska Tiger Reserve is in Rajasthan. Now what happened? The government of India, they went for a mining activity. During that mining activity, see, we need to dig the surface of the earth to take the mines out, to bring the minerals on the surface, etc. In that, various plants were being cut. Okay, and obviously when plants will be cut, wildlife habitat will also be destroyed. So the people of that village raised their voice and they said, Acha, you were only the one who passed Indian Wildlife Protection Act in 1972 and you are the one who are degrading it, destroying it. We are not going to allow it. See, this is the power of voice. This is the power of voice in a democracy. So, villagers have fought against the mining by citing the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 in the Sariska Tiger Reserve, and actually the mining activity was stopped over there. That's very good. Similar such case is from Alwar district of Rajasthan. Where, my dear students? Similar such case is from the Alwar district of Rajasthan. Now what happened in the Alwar district? The inhabitants, the people living over there, right, have declared 1200 hectares of forest as Bhairav Dev Duck Sanctuary. Now what's this? See, what they did now, they have seen that certain instances where government also was mining and doing activities for commercial purpose and this. So in this Alwar district of Rajasthan, they declared that area 1200 hectares, that forest department, you go. Let it be unclassed. We are going to decide the rules and regulations to be followed in this region, and they declared it as Bhairav Dev Duck Sanctuary. Sanctuary is actually the word for century. Okay, Bhairav Dev Duck Sanctuary. Their rules and regulations and nobody going to interfere there. Very good. Next is about Chipko movement. Everyone heard about the cis childhood. Now we are making fun of it also even in the class. So this is in the Himalayan regions. Everyone, when got to know that the authorities are going to cut the trees, they went and hugged it tightly, so that if you want to cut the tree, you have to cut us. Okay, so this is done by a community participation activity, or we can call community afforestation activity, which indigenous species can be enormously saved or successfully protected. Okay, great. Chalo. Beach Bachao Andolan. Beach is seeds. Okay. Bachao, you know, save. Andolan is movement. So this was again in Uttarakhand. Tehri and Nawadina district have adequate level of diversity. This place is quite famous for diversified crop production. And how they are doing this diversified crop production? They have very, very good quality of seed, diversified quality of seeds, and that too natural. They are not made up of any chemicals or any process which is actually harmful to the nature, or using any chemical product in that. So it is economically viable. So this is also a process that was done by a community living over there. This is very good. And the last one is sacred groves. See, these 4 points were written in one paragraph, but as this question comes for how many marks? 5 marks. After this paragraph, we have a box there regarding sacred groves. You know what is sacred? Something that is religiously uplifted for us or high for us in terms of religion. Sacred, pavitra, what we can call. So Indian society comprises several cultures, each with own sets of traditional beliefs. We have lot of culture with various traditions, and each of them have one thing in common: to protect wildlife species and plants. Right? Like we talk about, for example, there is a community called Bishnoi community in Rajasthan. Yes, the same Salman Khan case which you people are aware about. So, the Bishnoi villages in Rajasthan actually consider this herds of black buck, which is popularly known as chinkara, as a religious entity, and if anyone harms it, they are not going to leave it. I'm not praising the violence over here, but I'm just praising the effort made by community to protect them. Right? Similar such has been seen with nilgai or with peacock, or we can say plants like tulsi plant we used to worship. And there are certain more examples which I am adding on here, right? Which I am adding on here. Like there are communities that as Mundas and Santhals. So beta, Mundas and Santhals lives in Chota Nagpur region. Where do they live? They live in Chota Nagpur region, and they worship Mahua. Right? Mahua is a plant. They worship this Mahua as well as Kadamb ka ped. Okay, they worship Mahua and Kadamb ped. So the communities is Mundas and Santhals living in Chota Nagpur plateau. Then we have the tribal community in Odisha and Bihar. Okay, we have one more that is in Odisha and Bihar. They are the one who actually worship the plant of tamarind, imli. Okay, tamarind tree. So is there anything left? No. And okay, and even mango also. And this is done during weddings. This is done during weddings. So Odisha, Bihar, tamarind and mango. Get it? So this is the role of community, or the participation of community in the conservation of forest and wildlife in India, which actually is great, as these people are making efforts a lot. Okay, these facts needs to be revised again and again, recalled again and again, so that we don't get confused during our exams and it retains in our mind. Ma'am, is the chapter over? No, not yet. Only one topic is left. Okay, just sacred groves are written here, beta. Chalo, let's talk in detail about this. So, nature worship is an age-old traditional belief in India. We know that. I just told you. So, all those preserved several virgin forests, we are calling here preserved virgin forest to the forest which we don't cut. We have never cut, right? Because they are pristine and are referred as sacred groves. Okay. So certain societies are written, like I told you, Mundas and Santals of Chota Nagpur region worship Mahua and Kadamba tree. And the tribals of Orissa and Bihar worship tamarind. Similarly, troops of Mecca. This is particularly seen in lot of Indian temples. You go to Indian temples, there are langurs, monkeys sitting over there, and they are actually more worshipped in India. So they are sitting in many temples, and the example is of Bishnoi community that considered Blackberg as the religious entity. Okay, great. Last topic before ending the chapter is about joint forest management. Again, this is a question that comes for 3 marks, and the question will be write a short note. Okay, write a short note on JFM. JFM again, bacha, joint forest management. Just see, whenever you study any topic na, just decode the heading. Joint means efforts of 2 people. Forest, you guys are aware. Manage means to administer that area. So what happened? This is actually one of the best example of involvement of local community or the role of local communities in the management of forest. See, the Indian forest, okay, the Indian forest, because of the administration, directly went into the government, and on the behalf of government, who is working for it? That is beta, forest department is working for it. Who is working for it? Forest department is working for it. We are aware about that. Lekin beta, forest department have limited people. Forest department have limited knowledge, because a person who is living in that forest has a lot of knowledge around it, right? They know how to protect them. They know the in-depth thing about them. So this forest department took a major step, that a lot of times we need to manage the forest and to restore it when it's degraded or something. So the program was made that we can make joint efforts. Joint efforts of whom? Community living there and we, that means forest department. So the program has been in formal existence since 1988 year. To be remembered, okay, the program has been in formal existence since 1988, where the state of Odisha, which state? So which state was the first to start JFM? Odisha was the first resolution for JFM, and after that, when the government noted its implementation and success, later on all the states were asked to do the same. What they are doing? They are making joint efforts. So JFM depends on the formation of local village institutions. So there are group of people, small village that is in this forest region. So they make a community out of it, or what we can say institution out of it, like panchayats and all, that undertake protection activities mostly on degraded forest that is being degraded, and the land managed by the forest department. So who is working by? These people of village, that means local communities are working. Now, are these communities mad because forest department is getting the income? Why they will work? They also need something in return, na? They also need to feed their stomach. So, in return, the members of these communities are entitled to intermediary benefits. See beta, as the area went into forest department, these are also restricted with the uses which they used the things freely before. Now they are also restricted, but if they help the forest department, in return they will get all the intermediary benefits from the forest, like non-timber products particularly, and if they successfully restored the forest, successfully did what? Restored the forest, even some of the timber share will be given to them once harvested by successful protection. And this is what is known as JFM, Joint Forest Management. Now, are you pretty clear about JFM? And this is important topic, and these are the 4 points which we have to frame as a 3-marker question. Okay, and this is how we ends with the super important, super easy, super short chapter of geography. forest and wildlife in India. But do you think that I will allow you to go without the homework questions? I did this never. So we have a list of questions here, but make sure that you are going to solve this, because you will thank me later when you will see these types of questions in your paper. So when you watch this particular video till the end, right, I want that you gave your 45 minutes to me, give another 45 minutes by solving these questions, right? Because just hearing is not enough. Practicing will make you more good in your class 10th exam. Okay, leave your SST preparation on me. Just start focusing on, just start following what I say. Okay, so I hope that you're going to solve this question. I don't hope, I give you this, that you have to solve this and later come on the comment section and tell ma'am, yes ma'am, we solved all the question bank provided by you. Okay, so meet you soon in the next chapter. Hopefully, I will be bringing the second chapter of economics. That will be the sectors of Indian economy. Okay, that is what? Sectors of Indian economy. Get it, my dear students? Come back in the next video. We'll meet soon. Up till then, tata, bye-bye. All the best for your class 10 preparation. In case you need any strategy, come to the channel, comment. I'm going to help you. Bye-bye.